that will always stick in my mind, not necessarily just for the award, mainly because of how well the aircraft performed under ridiculous stress, where I'm taking an engine up to 150% of its capability.
That's just one example of many where the aircraft has not only had the capability to undertake the mission in the first place, but it's also had that redundancy in systems and resilience to be able to take the battle damage.
I describe the Chinook as something of a Swiss Army knife, where, it's, if you think, oh, I need to do that, the Chinook has got a technique or a capability that you can exploit to solve almost any problem that presents to you as the captain.
We were going to rescue 62 troops who had already been stuck on the ground for 3 hours longer than they were supposed to be. I didn't know this at the time, but I found out later on that they were running out of water, running out of ammunition. They had been surrounded for 3-4 hours longer than they intended to. There was no way of getting them out, and we'd actually tried twice prior to come in and get them, which we'd come under contact.
So there was an operation in the summer of 2006, and we had 3 para we were supporting, and they were pinned down in an area called Sangin. They were running low on water, food, and more crucially, ammunition, and they were being effectively engaged regularly by enemy forces. Unfortunately, they had sustained wounded as well, and a couple KIA.
Once we did get in and land, just as I landed, we had contact from the left-hand side. So on the port side, we took 2 rounds. One of them happened to go into the engine, which lost power. So I'm now sitting on one engine, 30 miles or 20 miles away from Camp Bastion, where we were based.
However, the landing site I chose was rather tight, and there was a building in front of my nose, a 1-story mud hut. And because of the cargo system in the back, it's a roller conveyor, and you need to push the cargo out as the aircraft moves forward. I didn't have room to go forward in the 12 o'clock. So a unique capability of the Chinook is that it can taxi forward or backwards on its aft 2 wheels. And so as a crew, we selected to do that, lifted the aircraft back on the rear 2 wheels and taxied forward. The result was the forward rotor disc was just above this mud hut, about 4 to 5 inches above the hut. And I was pushing that aircraft forward so that the front of the nose was just almost touching that mud hut with the disc above it. And I don't think any aircraft could do that.
But this is where we talk about taking the aircraft to its limitations, beyond its limitations, to do what you need to do to, save people's skin. So on one engine, I managed to lift a total weight of, I think it was just short of 19,000 kilograms, which goes out to Honeywell for the engine design in the first place. But ridiculous power. I mean, the aircraft was screaming and the rotors slowed down. It wasn't a very nice situation at all. But I've got one focus. I am task focused at that moment, just to do my job, just to get the boys out of the situation they're in.
We flew out on that particular mission. The number of casualties that we were due to be picking up was going up by the minute as we flew over there. We landed in the middle of a firefight. We sat there in the middle of a firefight, and we left in a firefight. We picked up the casualties. We took them back to Bastion via the fastest route we could. The unfortunate thing was that on the way, we got hammered by a few more shots, one of which ended up coming through the front windscreen and knocking me on the head, which was a bit of a surprise, both to me and my crew. We took the aircraft back to the hospital landing site, or very close to it, and we closed down there, unloaded the casualties, and stepped out and breathed a huge sigh of relief. And it was only at that point that we walked around the aircraft and saw the damage that it had sustained, and there were bullet holes, bangs and scrapes and smashed screens. It's a testament to the aircraft that the amount of damage that it had sustained came as somewhat of a surprise, given we had flown that aircraft back and it was still performing admirably.
It's because the Chinook is such a beast that it just took the RPG between its teeth and spat it out, pretty much literally, and went, yeah, what else have you got? The hole in the blade, you could put your body through it. It was that big. It was designed as a battlefield helicopter. This is why it's so good. It's not a civilian helicopter which they painted green and trying to flog it as a military machine with a bit of extra armor and that kind of stuff. No. This was thought from the start. How am I going to build a machine that's going to withstand enemy fire in combat? And you know, unfortunately, I was one of the guys that proved that it can. But again, you're a testament to the aircraft. Yeah, an RPG hit, and we all thought that it was small arms or maybe a heavy machine gun, not a rocket. Definitely not.